A lot can happen in 6 years. Since Gran Turismo 4 launched in 2004, we've seen Forza Motorsport, Need for Speed Shift, and the Codemasters Racing stable lining up to take the racing throne. Now, after countless delays and a few false starts, the real driving simulator has finally returned. But can Polyphony's Epic reclaim its place at the head of the pack? Gran Turismo 5 is, from certain angles, an amazing looking game. For instance, admire one of the premium cars in photo mode, and you could argue that it's even better than the real thing. Its car models are, by and large, things of beauty. It's the same behind the wheel, race around Le Mans or Toscana under a setting sun, and it's heart-stoppingly pretty. But, while the 200 premium cars look great, the 800 other cars can look less so. It's not that they're unattractive, but the attention to detail that makes the premium cars stand out just isn't there. The lack of a cockpit view is a letdown, as is the diminished damage modelling. There also seems to be a divide between the premium and standard tracks. New additions like Indianapolis or street circuits like Rome and Madrid stand out and bring the series one step closer to photorealism, but some returning tracks take the series back to its PlayStation 2 days. Bland textures spoil places like Autumn Ring and Trial Mountain, and across the board, the shadows look particularly poor. Ultimately, the moments of beauty outweigh the uglier ones, but they don't quite outnumber them. Its menus are equally schizophrenic, a mix of slick presentation and plain bad design. There's a nice clinical aesthetic that's undercut by some eccentrically bad jazz, but the layout is sometimes baffling. For instance, if you want to find a car that's eligible for the race you've just selected, you'll be a few frustrating clicks and a handful of screens away. That's something you can get over in the single player, though it makes an otherwise solid online mode a real headache. But its heart is definitely in the right place, with a neat set of community-led features that create a Facebook-like network for you and your racing friends. And the racing itself, once you get there, is solid. The trouble is, it's hidden beneath an obscure and archaic lobby system. There's currently no matchmaking, so it's a case of traipsing through the various races online, and it's offset by more design problems, this time with the lobbies themselves. The system is set for an overhaul, so here's hoping that it can be fixed sooner rather than later. When you're driving, it's easy to forget many of Gran Turismo 5's problems. Polyphony has proudly reclaimed the throne when it comes to console simulation, and its cars are absolute joys to throw around. It really comes alive in the braking zones. Scrubbing the speed off of a car you've just tuned to within an inch of its life is as challenging as getting it round the corner. It'll fishtail wildly and refuse to stay put, and once you're aiming for the apex, you'll feel the chassis protesting at the strain. But what's really impressive is the scope of cars available. It covers the entire automotive spectrum, from 100cc karts all the way to F1 cars, NASCARs, or Sebastian Loeb's rally spec Citroën C4. Special events make the most of the headline cars, but the real bulk of Gran Turismo 5's single player is in its A-spec mode, which, for better and worse, is much like that of previous games. There's much fun to be had in taking a vanilla Japanese sports car and attaching superchargers, spoilers, and racing suspension until it's a near undrivable beast. There's a flip side though. More often than not, it's simply a case of getting the most powerful machinery and driving off into the distance. And when you do get caught up in the pack, it's a little disappointing. While the AI has been tweaked, it's still mindless, paying little attention to your whereabouts on the track. Worse still, your AI opponents will sometimes slam on the brakes at inopportune moments, leaving you with a faceful of rear bumper. And when you do smash into someone, all you get is a hollow donk. If you're persistent, you might shunt a polygon out of place. Frankly, the damage is pretty poor in Gran Turismo 5, and it's several leagues behind that of its opposition. Gran Turismo 5 is a 10 out of 10 simulator wrapped up in a 5 out of 10 game. Its excellence on the track is matched only by its sloppiness off it. Ultimately, it's the driving that counts, and Gran Turismo 5's handling really delivers. But with the game lacking elsewhere, that's not quite enough to keep it top of the racing pile.